like a Hellcat.
Alright guys, so today we have the long-awaited BTD myth-busting episode number 1. I've been talking about it for a while now, and basically just I've been pretty busy with things. Like I said, this is my final week. I finished on my last final today, so that is good. I'm on winter break, I guess it's called, for like almost a month or so. So hopefully I'll be able to put out more videos more frequently than I've been doing this past week or two. Also, my uncle died on this Tuesday, sorry. Yeah, because today is only Friday yet, so it was like 3 days ago. But yeah, basically me and my parents, we inherited his house because nobody else lived with him in his house, and his house was an absolute mess. So we've been trying to tidy it up as much as we could, and everything like that. So I've been busy with that as well as with finals and everything. So I basically have no time to record videos or even play the game much, for that matter. So anyhow, without further ado, let's get into some of these myths. The first one being sent from 7 times your IQ. They want to know, how many reactors do you need to defend one ceramic? Now this is sort of based on another comment that I seen, but I couldn't find the comment anywhere. But maybe I was just hallucinating it or something like that. By the way, this is a normal sandbox mode or whatever, where you can send to yourself and stuff. So that will be that and everything. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically yeah, that's what we have to test some of these right now. But the second comment that goes with this comment is if the village ability or the boost or the engineer ability actually works for the reactor sub. So today we will be putting these myths to the test, I guess. So the first thing is that we're just gonna put one reactor down, and by the way, reactors, basically the longer balloons are underneath them, the more pop they will get, if that makes any sense. For example, if a balloon is under the reactor for 2 seconds, it'll be popped twice or something. I don't know the exact way it works, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So you always want your reactor to have to cover as much map as possible. So I don't know why I did this on the longest map in the game, but yeah, anyhow, that doesn't even make any sense. Why did I send that? But okay, so the thing is, how many reactors takes to destroy a ZOMG? I mean, not a ZOMG. If we use reactors to destroy a ZOMG, that would take quite a lot of reactors. But it's how many to destroy a ceramic. But the thing is, reactors do not stack. Like, if you put a reactor on top of each other, hold on, if I put one reactor here and then I put another one right next to it, wherever these 2 reactors overlap, they will not actually do double the damage. The only thing you're doing with having 2 reactors is covering slightly more area, but yeah, anyhow, I could show that right now if you guys want. If I send a ceramic, and you can see it is damaging it, but very, very slowly. Popped it into rainbows, and now into whites and blacks, and then into pinks, and then we leaked the pinks. So even on the longest map in the game, it does not fully defend a ceramic. But if we have 2, it should probably do the same exact thing. As we can see right here, it might do 1 extra pop just from the extra range on the second reactor, but As you can tell, pretty much the same outcome. One extra pop on some of them due to the extra range. If it was actually doubled popping power, then it would be completely annihilated, which obviously was not the case. So that is that myth busted. Reactors do not stack, so if you're ever in the need of extra popping power, do not stack them on top of each other. It is fine if you're gonna do something like this, like have two like that, because then they hardly overlap at all, and then you're covering a lot more ground basically. So this ceramic will probably get popped just due to the extra range that these reactors are in. Yeah, as you can see, the balloon is in the reactor radius for a longer amount of time, so it does get popped. So basically there's no great answer for this question of how many reactors does it take to pop a ceramic. It all depends on the map and how much time the balloon actually spends inside the reactor radius. So basically the second part of the question is, does boosting do anything to a reactor? And we're gonna find out right now. We're gonna just send a ceramic again, and it's green still because I guess it was a better spot than over on the sides. It has more, it covers more of the track for a longer period of time. Obviously that makes sense, but we're gonna try the same thing with a boosted reactor. So we got the same exact results. Greens popped out, and that was exactly what it was otherwise. So the next thing we need to test, is the village ability. I'm just gonna get the 0-4 village, and then I'll send a ceramic. So as you can tell, same exact result. Do not use a village ability on a reactor, it does nothing. Next is the engineer ability, which a lot of people probably don't even know what it does, but what it does is basically the same thing as the village ability, except you get to choose one tower that it works onto. Okay guys, so I sort of realized that if I put the engineer anywhere near the track, it will actually shoot at the balloons because it's a tower that does things like that. So we're just gonna see what happens by the time it gets here and compare then. Okay, well as you can see, it did pop out as yellows, and then it would have been popped into greens the next time around if it was not for this engineer. So basically there is no actual way to actually increase the popping power of a reactor. So that is our first set of myths busted. Okay, so our next myth that we are testing is if the engineer can pop frozen balloons. So let's test each upgrade and see if it's possible. Okay, so the balloon that we're gonna test here is the actual ceramic balloon, because it's the only one that I can send one of right now without having to go into the code and change it, which I don't really feel like doing right now. But yeah, we just have a 0-0 ice gunner here, ice tower here. I don't know what an ice gunner is, but anyhow, and then a monkey engineer here, and then this won't do any pops, it'll just freeze them, and then we can test each of the upgrades as we go. So it is frozen, and it seems to be not popped at all. So as we can conclude, the 0-0 engineer does not pop frozen balloons. Okay, so next up is the sentry guns. We're going to test the left side and then the right side. So sentry guns, we're going to see if the sentry guns can pop the frozen balloons. Looks like a no. It is doing damage, but not while it is frozen, so I think that is conclusive of a no. Alright, next up we have Faster Engineering, the 2-0. Okay, and as you can obviously tell, while the balloons are frozen, they do not get popped. Next up we have the Cleansing Foam. I don't know how easy it is for me to actually get a Cleansing Foam to shoot out onto a frozen balloon, but I think what I'm going to do is just send a whole bunch of balloons and hope for the best. Okay, as you could tell right there, I probably slowed down and zoomed in, but the actual Cleansing Foam does not pop the frozen balloons. Next we have the Balloon Trap. Obviously this is also going to be impossible to test basically, since we'd have to actually have the balloon trap land on top of the frozen tower once we collect from it, and I don't think it matters anyhow, because you're never going to be in this situation where you're relying on your balloon trap to fly over top of a frozen balloon. But for the purpose of this video, I did go into the code and actually see if it is possible, and the code says that it does actually suck in any type of balloon that it does land on, basically. Yeah, other than obviously Moabs and stuff like that, but lead balloons, frozen balloons, glued balloons, anything like that, it will just suck anything in. So that is that, even though I could not test it, but the code does say that it does. Next up, we do have the right-sided upgrades, so let's do that. So the 0-1, the 9-inch nails. As you can tell, it actually works. While the ceramic was frozen, the sentry gunner was shooting it and it was popping. So I think that myth is confirmed. The 0-1 can actually pop frozen balloons, as well as obviously the 4-0. And then I guess technically all these other ones works too, because it's not going to actually you know, get rid of that property. So okay, so another thing that nobody commented, but I was just wondering myself, is what happens if you overclock a sentry. So let's see what happens to a single ceramic from a 0-4 engineer. So it's left with pretty much pinks at the end and some leftovers and stuff, but pretty much down to pinks. Let's see what happens if we overclock it. It didn't seem that much differently. Maybe 1 or 2 extra pops, but I think maybe it's shooting faster than it can actually pop stuff. I don't really know the whole science behind it, but it didn't really seem like it helped it out too much. So I think we're just gonna have to call this one a little bit inconclusive. Okay, so our next myth isn't really a myth, but it was a question, and I figured I might as well address it because I've seen these questions before in some of my previous videos, so I thought I might as well give you guys some definite answers for this. But basically, why do I road spike Moabs? Well, that would be because Moabs have like 100 health, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check in the code, but yeah, Moabs have 100 health, and road spikes do 20 health, or 20 damage, or 20 pops, or whatever you want to call it. It does 20 pops, and that 20 pops can be used on a Moab or BFB or any type of balloon. Obviously, if you use on a ceramic, the ceramic layer is 10 pops, and then everything underneath will take another 10 pops. So anyhow, as you can tell, it does 20 damage. If we were to send one rainbow balloon or something and we use it on it, there you can see it does damage to any balloon that you might send to it. So let me hop out of this game and rejoin. Why? Just stop. Just break. Just come on, dude. I don't have all day. Let's go. What are you doing? Come on. Okay, so we are back here with the road spike thing, and just to show you that, or just to, I guess, prove to myself rather, that well, okay, let me start over. Just to prove that the Moab takes damage from road spikes and that the Moab has 100 health, we're gonna test it out right here. So if we just send a regular Moab and then we use the road spikes, use the hotkeys, boom boom boom, you can see it is getting damaged. That is 60, and that should be 100 health, because 5 times 20 is 100. So that proves that Moabs have 100 health, at least until ramping. So that proves both points, that Moabs have 100 health and that the road spikes actually do damage to Moabs. So normally in a normal match you might have, well, you could have 3 at max, so that's a total of 60 damage that your other towers wouldn't have to actually do to it. Because say if you have triple darts or something like that, I'm pretty sure each dart only does like 1 damage to the Moab, so yeah, that's 60 less damage that your darts have to do to the Moab. So or your ninja or whatever other towers you might have. Okay, for our next myth, we are testing if an Apache dart ship can take down a single balloon boosted BFB by itself. Now we're moving on to a more normal map, being offside, or offsides as I always call it, even though it's actually called offside, and people always yell at me, but I don't care, I still call it offsides all the time. Anyhow, there's actually no way for me to balloon boost one at myself in this practice mode here, so we're just going to see what happens to a normal BFB on pursuit and then on follow mouse. So okay, so as you can tell, we leaked not even 50 lives from that, not even 40 lives from that. 38 lives we leaked from a BFB on pursuit. Now we're going to go ahead and see if we do any better with follow mouse. Alright, and as you can tell, 0 lives leaked, so this isn't like an exact testing of whether or not pursuit or follow mouse is better, but I can tell you for a fact that follow mouse is better. Ask anybody who's ever used heli pilots, they will tell you that follow mouse is the right way to go. So if you were wondering about that, that is that. Also, the answer to this myth, how many Apaches takes down a BFB, is basically 1. Offside is actually one of the shorter maps in the map pool. A lot of people don't realize that Snowy Castle, and I think Swan Lake even, is technically longer than offsides. Basically, if something works on offsides, it should work on any map, because most maps are actually longer than it. So, except for, you know, maybe cards and Hydro Dam and stuff, but if you're using heli on Hydro Dam, I think you have some more problems than BFBs. So anyhow, I think that that pretty much concludes this myth. Our next myth here is how many third tier heli pilots needed to defend regen rainbows. I'm assuming that this person means third tier on the left side, because I mean, might as well test them both that since we're here, but yeah, we'll see, I guess, which one is better and which one is worse. Okay, so the heli pilot is going to be 3-2 or 2-3 when we get there, but yeah, basically I'm just gonna send myself 10 sets, which is about $10,000 worth of regen rainbows, which is a decently sized rush, basically an all-out versus somebody, which is like 4 plantations worth of regen rainbows if you do the math. But yeah, so we're gonna send those. I'm gonna leave it there for now, but it is on follow mouse, so we're gonna see what happens. Obviously with 1 it got pretty much annihilated, so let's step it up to 3. No, I wasn't actually paying attention to lives, but I think that almost worked. We're gonna test it out if lock in place does anything differently, because I know Razor Rotors is a big part in actually taking down rushes, so we're gonna see what happens with a couple of these on actually locked in place, and then the last one I will have on follow mouse. So that did a lot worse than I actually thought it would, so again, as you can tell, follow mouse is definitely the right way to go. There you go. I'm pretty sure that was no lives lost, or even if I did leak a couple lives, I know it definitely was not 150. So, conclusion, how many third tier on the left side helis do you need to survive regen rainbows? The answer is 4. Okay, now I don't think I've ever actually used a third tier on the right side heli pilot like in my whole life to defend anything. So this is going to be a learning experience for me, as well as probably a lot of you guys as well. So we're just gonna start off with 4 right now to see what happens. So as you can tell, it just creates a massive regen farm, and yeah, you're pretty much dead if you use this. So it's going to take a lot of these to actually, you know, defend perfectly. So I think we're just gonna call this one a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and fit as many as I can on this map without trying too hard, and we'll see if it can defend. So we have 80 of these 2-3, not 80, holy cow. Excuse me, I don't know what. I don't even know where that number came from, but we have 20 of these 2-3 heli pilots, and we will see if that can defend a $10,000 regen rainbow rush. Seems like, yeah, that was pretty easy. So let's I think hop it down all the way down to 10. Seemed to take a little bit longer, but it did still pop them all. So let's knock it down a couple more. Okay, as you can see, 8 sort of struggled a little bit, so let's try 7. With a lot of sort of micro and moving around the heli pilot, 7 defends actually. I'm pretty sure that was no lives lost, but I'm gonna go ahead and try 6. I don't think 6 is going to do it, but we will might as well try. And as you can tell, like I thought, it just goes crazy. So you need about 7 of the right-sided third-tier heli pilots, and I think it was 4 left-sided third-tier heli pilots to defend a 10,000 regen Rainbow Rush. Okay, now our next myth is actually a couple myths in one, but we're just going to go ahead and do these in order, I guess. By the way, guys, a couple of you I know sent comments and it had like 10 or 15 different things in them, and while I would love to test each and every one of them, I'm pretty sure this video is already going to be probably 30 minutes long, and I don't want to be putting out hour-long episodes of things if people, well, one, because it takes me super long to actually go through everything and test everything, because I actually had to go and make this mod for myself for it to actually work, because at the time I am making this, I could not find a working sandbox mode for 4.8.1, so I just sort of threw this together myself here, but anyhow, that's not, it doesn't really matter how long it takes for me to make it, it just, I want to be able to put out the video faster and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So, if I'm testing here for like 12 hours, that's going to take me days to put out, you know what I mean? So, if you could try to limit your questions to maybe 1 or 2 things at the most, 3 if they're sort of like really quick test things, like, for instance, can ice detect camo balloons? That's pretty simple to test, I would think. Or maybe what Dartling gun is better late game against the OMGs. By the way, I guess I'll test that here, but anyhow, so the first myth is, can Ice Tower detect camo balloons? So we're gonna test here with just camo pinks, just because they're the fastest balloon and whatnot. So we'll see what happens. Didn't even try to attack, so that's a no from the 0-0 ice. So then we have a 1-0. Looks like no. A 2-0. Looks like no. 3-0. Looks like no. 4-0. Looks like no. Okay, then if we test the right side, a 0-1 looks like no. A 0-2 looks like no. And a 0-3 looks like no. A 0-4 looks like no, but if we try the ability, look at that. It actually works. So, the Ice Tower itself cannot pop camos at all. By the way, if we get snap freeze or anything like that, we can see it doesn't work. I'm actually curious. I'm pretty sure that this won't work either, but just for the sake of video purposes, even if you have snap freeze on your Ice Tower and you shoot the ability, it cannot pop balloons at all. So technically the Ice Tower can detect camo balloons. Whether it can pop it or not is a definite no. So this myth is busted. Ice Tower cannot pop camo balloons. Right, so the next part of this question is, what Dartling gun is better super late game against the OMGs? So this isn't with any ramping or anything, but it'll be basically the same thing, just scaled up. So I'm just going to send myself a ZOMG with a couple of each type of 4th tier Dartling gunners and see what happens. So actually, before we get into that, I was wondering actually if the right-sided upgrades affect the Ray of Doom. So let's just send a ceramic and leave it there and see what happens. So it leaves 1 red balloon. Let's see if it does that consistently. It does. Okay, so I'm gonna try to actually click on this without moving its targeting at all. Seems like that was a success. So let's go over here and upgrade it once to the left, to the right, excuse me, and see if it does anything. Nope, one red balloon is still there. So let's go ahead and upgrade it once more, and see what happens. Oh, it actually popped everything. Let's try this once more to see if it wasn't a fluke, and it seems like it was a fluke actually. Although one red balloon isn't very much when you could just go like that and it's boom, done. But anyhow, yeah, it seems like the right-sided upgrades do not do anything for the 4th tier on the left side. Let me just test if it pops lead balloons. And it does, so the right side is useless for the left-sided 4th tier. So we're going to do a little test here with 5 of these 4th tier on the left, and just see how fast it pops a Moab, a BFB, and a ZOMG, and then we will hop over to the 4th tier on the right side and do the same test. First test here is going to be without the ability, and then I will try with the ability as well. So it turns out that the left-sided 4th tier Darling Gunner is actually better for popping power. This one is actually really surprising to me. I thought for sure that the left-sided, that the right-sided would be a lot better, but as we can clearly see, it's not. Maybe I'm using the ability incorrectly or whatever it is, I don't know, but it seems in sheer popping power, the left-sided is the way to go, other than the fact that it costs about like 4 times as much as the right side. But anyhow, if you're not talking about money, if you're talking about sheer popping power, it seems like the left side is the actually correct way to go for popping power. So that is that myth. I don't know. It's not really busted or confirmed or anything like that, but there you go. There's your answer, I guess. Okay, so I made a couple changes to this practice mode here. One of them being renaming it testing mode, so that I could tell the difference between the two when I was working with them, because I was cutting and pasting different sections of code and stuff like that. So don't worry about that too much. But yeah, basically, our next myth is, what rounds do ZOMGs get stronger? This applies also to Moabs and BFBs, as in health, ramping, and I'm pretty sure every balloon, including the ones that aren't the blimps, get the speed buff as well as round gets longer. But basically, the code says that the balloons become full health on round 30 and then start increasing in health by 0.4, or basically 40% each round after round 30. So starting on round 31, blimps get 40% more health, and every balloon, including the blimps, move 20% faster. So this leads us into our next myth, which sort of ties into this, which is when can a submarine ability, I'm assuming, not kill ZOMGs anymore? Yeah, with the ability, sorry. But yeah, so I modded the game to basically send one ZOMG every round. That's the only thing I changed. The ramping is still the same round and everything like that, so it should be apparent, I guess. I don't know. Once we get to round 30, it'll probably maybe take more ZOMGs to more abilities, excuse me, to take down the ZOMGs. So we found out round 32 is the round where ZOMGs stop being popped fully by the ability, and then as you can see, the round 33 ZOMG took even more to actually pop. Alright guys, so that is pretty much gonna do it for this video. I know this video was probably already like over half an hour long or something like that. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this video today. Yeah, I don't know, not much else to say about that. Basically, that just this video took me a long time to make, and probably after this one I will probably cut it back a bit, unless you guys actually really enjoy these long type of videos. Let me know in the comments below whether you'd like to see shorter of these or the same length or longer even, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I was supposed to add in a whole segment about farming, such as should you buy the 210 farms or 120 farm, and then, you know, what kind of farms and stuff, and also the bank, all the stuff in the bank, and also does more bananas help the BIA? Like I said, a whole bunch of different farm and bank stuff, but I will be doing that in basically the next episode. That'll be what it'll cover mainly, as well as however much time we have left over, as well as what you guys want as terms of lengths for these types of videos. I hope you guys learned a lot in this video. I know I definitely did, especially with the whole Ellie's and the Darling Gunner and stuff like that. So yeah, other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed, hopefully you learned a lot, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Be sure to also ask some other questions for your chance to be featured in one of these episodes. Until next time, take care, brush your hair, peace.